Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gene. You guys are watching Primed and Lubed, Season 4, Episode number 20 for March the 16th, 2025, as the Edmonton Oilers get set to take on the New York Rangers in about 1 hour's time. So that's why I decided to throw this episode an hour before. That being said, we've got a lot to talk about on this particular episode. Like, what is going on with this team? I mean, it's definitely a different feel from last year when they had two 8-game winning streaks. They nearly broke the NHL record for the most wins. There's a different feel to this team. Yes, different personnel. You got Arvidsson. You don't have McLeod. You don't have Warren Fogle. But still, it's just we in the offseason, I do believe we replenished our guys pretty decently. So what is going on with this team as they barely squeaked off an overtime win here this week to give them at least 2 points on this road trip so far? Hopefully they'll be able to muster up 2-point win today against the Rangers, which is starting in an hour, which means I got to get on with this episode, and because I do have a lot to cover as we go forward. But yeah, like I'm just kind of mind blown at the lack of will by this team. And this is starting to go into bleed into the superstars like McDavid. Draisaitl's the only one. Draisaitl has been absolutely super consistent. So I have nothing bad to say about him. But even McDavid seems like he's dropped off a step, even though his numbers don't indicate it, which is kind of weird because I actually looked at his numbers. I did a lot of research this week. Before I get into this particular episode, guys, I'm just asking you kindly if you would be so kind to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, as it helps grow the channel, and also put on the notifications, as I tend to go off and do this episode on various times during the day on Sundays. I do it on Sundays, but sometimes I do it late, sometimes I do it early. This one is a 3 p.m. episode one, so yeah. So, catch my breath here. Let's get into the Edmonton Oilers and the Buffalo Sabres. And there's a lot of storylines in this particular game. Not just so much that the Oilers lost, but the fact that at the end of this game, this was my perception, guys. I'm not trying to say that this was fact or whatnot, but at the end of the game, it looked like Connor McDavid was kind of looking at Knobloch, hey, call a timeout, use that timeout. We need to get reorganized here. And it never did happen. And at the end of the whistle, McDavid was flaring his hands up all about. It almost looked like there was something funny about it. But let's get into this particular game here as the Oilers took on the Sabres in Buffalo. And it would start off with Tage Thompson scoring an absolutely, I believe this was, no, maybe this was I don't know if it was this one or if it was his third period goal, but an absolutely beauty of a goal. I showed it to all my co-workers. I mean, when I see a beautiful goal, I don't care if it's a different team. It was just an absolute amazing goal. I don't know if it was, because this one came up as unassisted, so I think he did get a pass from Jack Norris, which I'll get into a little bit here. But this was at 13:28. It would be 1-0 in the first period. Going into the second, Darnell Nurse would get his fifth from Leon Draisaitl and Troy Stetcher. We have a tie game. Alex Tuch would make it 2-1 with at the 3:52 mark of the second period, and then Bouchard would tie it. However, one of these goals by Tage Thompson was an absolute beauty. I can't remember which one it was. But this would happen at 3:20 of the third period, and the Oilers just couldn't muster back a comeback. And like I say, at the end of this particular game, there was something there between McDavid and Knobloch, and it got me to wonder Like, is there another coaching issue? Are we going to be doing the coaching carousel once again? Because honest to God, when does it stop? Like, really, when does it stop? Hence, I'm going to actually have a segment on this particular episode called The Generals, and it's going to show a breakdown of a few of our most notable coaches in Edmonton Oilers history, going even back to Glenn Sather. I'll get into that in a bit, just to chew up some numbers and let you guys know where Knobloch actually stands in the mix. Okay, so as far as the shots on goal win in this, Edmonton, see, and here's the thing, Edmonton won most of these aspects, well, with exception to block shots and the giveaways. They gave away the puck more, but 34-23 Edmonton. Hits were 23-13 Edmonton. The face-off dot, which has been actually not doing very good for the Oilers, at 59.9, so a decent day on the dot. 1 for 4 in the power play, not so good, but the penalty kill, 2 for 2. They were able to knock out both penalties that Buffalo, or both penalties that the Sabres had the power play on. Block shots, 11-10, very close, and 20-19 for giveaway. So that's very close too. Stuart Skinner, 875 again. Like, there's more sub nines than above nines with him. And I'm not trying to beat him up, but again, it's got to be better. Some of the good numbers and the bad numbers. We'll start off with the bad numbers. There's 5 goalposts hit in this game. A ridiculous amount. So the game could have been very much a different outcome. McDavid. Now this is the stat that has driven me nuts over the last 3, 4, 5 coaches. 26:01 ice time. Like, this is the same thing that Tippett did. This is the same thing McCullough did. This is the same thing that Woody did, and it's a failing recipe. When are these coaches going to learn from their predecessors that, hey, we can't have these guys playing that much ice time, especially when you have some players doing a pretty damn good job and not getting really enough ice time to recognize it. Bouchard and Nurse combined for 7 giveaways. As far as the good aspects, Leon Draisaitl, 2 assists. He keeps on rolling and rolling and rolling. Nothing wrong with Leo. Matthias Ekholm, 5 takeaways. Bouchard, Nurse, 6 shots each. So some decent numbers in that regards as far as that goes. The stars for the game here, according to ESPN, was Tage Thompson with 2 goals, Josh Norris with 1 assist, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen with a .941 save percentage. And there you have it. The Buffalo Sabres would defeat the Edmonton Oilers 3-2. And unfortunately, the Oilers, just really having troubles finding their way. Okay, let's go into around the league and just some of the news that we are following there, as there has been a few interesting developments here. And the one big thing that came up is Aaron Ekblad of the Florida Panthers has been suspended 20 games. I was like, wow, that's a hefty penalty. And I'm going to get into that in a second here. I'm going to explain what happened here. So on Monday afternoon, the NHL announced that they have suspended Florida Panthers defenseman Aaron Ekblad for 20 games for violating the NHLPA performance-enhancing substances program. So basically, he was taking some kind of steroid or something along those lines. I don't know exactly what, but a banned substance that apparently makes you perform better. Okay? 20 games. That's huge. Okay? This is my problem with that suspension. I don't mind the suspension if you're trying to cheat the game. But why is it that a guy going 90 kilometers, well, I wouldn't say 90, but like 37, 38 kilometers, skating at a high pace, rams somebody with their elbow, okay, in the head, and oh, it's a first offense. We're going to give him 1 game. That is something that, like, it's very apparent that the NHL takes injuries to the players at a lower level than the actual consideration of the respect for the rules. So I think they should even out. If you're going to give a head injury, why not give them 20 games? And then you'd see definitely maybe a stop to it, or a little bit more of, like, some of the players backing off. So that was a huge suspension. I was pretty shocked that he got that many games. So he is technically not going to come back until the second or third game of the playoffs for the Florida Panthers. So that's a huge loss. Also, Brandon Montour scores the fastest overtime goal in NHL history. Brandon Montour had the fastest goal in history when he scored he scored for the Seattle Kraken in a 5-4 comeback against the Montreal Canadiens on Wednesday night. Literally, it was something like 4 seconds, like it was right off the face-off, and boom, in the net. He had a good lead, and that's it. He now holds a NHL record that probably won't be broken for quite some time. That's pretty tight. And now frustration really mounting in Chicago, as before this week, Bedard never had a misconduct, and by the end of this week, he now has 2, as he received one on Thursday against San Jose Sharks, and then another one against the Vancouver Canucks. So obviously frustration mounting for this young superstar that wants to be better, but he's got to learn to also chill out a little bit, and it's going to take time. It's going to take time. That team is in a rebuild. The team needs to build around him, and it's going to take time. He's got to understand there's going to be lots of aches and pains. Connor McDavid knows about that, and that's just the way it is. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go through some of the comments here. Renegade Man. Okay, Renegade Man. Looking back, they should have offered Sheed, Broberg, and Holloway, even though I'm against keeping players who don't want to be here. Imagine Holloway with Savoy. Could be a very good mix. Imagine Holloway with anyone. Look what he's doing in St. Louis. St. Louis, yeah, they got Jordan Kyrou. They got a few good players, but I don't know. I don't think the Oilers made a smart decision there. I think we could have kept Holloway. Get rid of Broberg. If you don't want to be here, we don't want you here. That's, he's probably just going to be pouty and whatever in the dressing room. So, whatever. Let's go with one more comment that you said here. Perry also, for a 39-year-old, is surprisingly consistent on scoring. I totally agree. And this man, right now, I don't see him ending off his career anytime soon. Okay, Renegade Man, I'll go to a couple more of your comments a little bit later here, but let's go to the Oilers and the Devils. Another game where the Oilers should have been able to clinch it because they had the lead, but however, they would somehow screw it up and not win this one. Okay, so this game would start off with Brett Pesce scoring his third of the season from Bratt and Hula at 3:58. It'd be 1-0. Draisaitl would get his 47th, assisted by Brett Kulak and McDavid at 10:05. We end the first period with a 1-1 tie. Evan Bouchard would make it 2-1 for his 13th of the year from McDavid and Wallman. at 4:18 of the second. However, Jasper Bratt would get his second point of the night, scoring his 19th, assisted by Pesce and Timo Meyer at 6:50. And we have a 2-2 game. However, the Devils would take a 3-2 lead. 3-2 lead late in the third period, and that would be basically the clincher as Nemec would get his first from Bratt and Hischer. Jasper Bratt had an amazing night. And another one that escapes the Edmonton Oilers and another one that unfortunately didn't go their way. Some of the stats in this particular game, I'll cue up that one. It was 33-21 for the Edmonton Oilers for shots on goal, 20-13 for hits. Face-off win percentage, 50.9. And they were 0 for 1 on the power play. The penalty kill still, that's one case. So that's one real good highlight for the Edmonton Oilers this week, because their penalty kill has been pretty spot on. So I will give them props for that. Block shots, 17-11 for Edmonton. Giveaways, 3-4. That's a very low total for giveaways, which Edmonton still was on the losing end of it, but by one. I'm not really complaining about. The save percentage, Stuart Skinner, 857, 18 of 21. Again, Skinner still trying to find his way. Hopefully he does soon. I do have concerns about how well they will perform in the playoffs with the current guys that they have. I look back and I look at Holloway and Warren Foegele and what they're doing now with their respective teams. Holloway in Los Angeles, Holloway in St. Louis, Foegele in Los Angeles, and they're looking good. They are looking good. Okay, some of the bad numbers that I came up with. Connor Leo Darnell, 25 minutes ice time. Again, I'm going to preach this ice time. It's not a winning formula. These coaches need to figure that out. Ty Emerson was on -3, and the Oilers are 3-7 since the Four Nations tournament. So they got kind of a losing record now, and they need to snap out of it real quick, because LA right now, actually, LA is ahead of them in the standings as I'm filming this podcast. Vasily, as far as the good goes, and this is one player that I do believe deserves more ice time. And you're going to hear me mention him a couple times. Vasily Podgolzin, 5 hits with only 13 minutes of ice time. So he's making good with what he has for ice time. Connor McDavid, 2 assists. Evan Bouchard, 5 shots on goal. As far as the Stars go, Leon Draisaitl. That's a goof up there. Let me just tell you what the actual Stars on goal were for this particular game. I got Jasper Bratt, Jake Allen, and Brett Pesce. I forgot to change that. That's last week's against the Montreal Canadiens, so ignore that completely. That's one graphic I failed to change, unfortunately. All right, so let's go back to the home page here. And I did a segment this particular week. I worked on it actually this morning because I was like, I need to talk about more stuff, and I couldn't figure out what I needed to talk about. But I think what I came up with is this is actually a pretty important segment. This is going to be the generals. Basically, we're going to talk about a few of the coaches that the Edmonton Oilers have had in their history, show you their win record, and I'll give you some of their numbers. And you can see where Chris Knobloch actually stacks up. Because I was starting to I have a buddy in Edmonton that was questioning him. And what I saw on the Buffalo game, I started questioning him because why did he not call the timeout? I don't understand that, why he did not call that timeout. So I started questioning him. However, the numbers are actually quite surprising on this segment called The Generals, and we'll get into that right now. as I'm going to do basically a breakdown of Tippett, Sather, McClellan, Woody, Knobloch, and can't think of his name right now. It'll come to me. Jesus. Okay, let's get into this. All right, we're going to start off with Todd. And so this is going to be ranked in win percentage from lowest to highest. So Todd McClellan, out of those 6, has the lowest ranked win percentage, respectable 508. It's not bad, but out of the 6, he has the lowest with 266, and this is all with the Edmonton Oilers. 266 games with the Oilers, 123 wins, 119 losses. I believe it was 13 overtime losses for a win percentage of 508. The next one, Craig McTavish, the guy I couldn't think of just 2 seconds ago. I get stumped. I'm doing this live, so I get stumped once in a while. He coached the Edmonton Oilers from 2000 to 2001 to 2008 and 9. 656 games that he coached the Oilers for, 301 wins, 252 losses, 47 ties, a win percentage of 537. Dave Tippett. He coached the Oilers from 2019-20 to 21-22. 171 games, 95 wins, 62 losses, 14 overtime losses for a win percentage of 596. Glenn Sather coached the Edmonton Oilers from 79-80 to 93-94. 842 games. Not to mention 5 Stanley Cups and blah, 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 blah. So we go on with that. Yeah. 842 games, 464 wins, 268 losses, 110. Now you got to remember, this is back in that time frame. There was no shootouts and overtime. It was ties. So back then, 110 ties for a winning percentage of 616. Jay Woodcroft coached the Oilers from 21-22 to 23-24, 133 games, 79 wins, 41 losses, 13 overtime losses with a win percentage of 643. And finally, Chris Knobloch, our current coach, he actually is, now it's a sample size. He hasn't coached as long, plus he didn't have to deal with Connor McDavid when he was just first breaking into the league and finding his way in Leon Draisaitl. He didn't have the likes of Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier and all that kind of stuff. That being said, what he has done, because you got to remember, yes, those coaches had some really good players, but they're still a team. They still have to get everyone going on the team to be successful. You can't expect Wayne Gretzky, Connor McDavid to win your championships. You need the whole embodiment to win it for you. But anyway, he's actually the best with the win percentage at this point in time, as he took over 23 and 24 for Woody till present. 135 games, 84 wins, and 42 losses, 9 overtime losses, a 656 win percentage. Slowly slipping away, but hopefully he can figure it out. And right now, he's technically the best out of those 6. I didn't go through every single coach, but out of those 6, he is the best thus far. So you have that. And I like that segment, the generals, because it kind of gives you an idea, because coaches are very much part of the team as the players are. They're the ones that get different matchups against different matchups, and it's up to them. All right, let's go to a couple more comments from Renegade Man here. And he goes, do you think they should have kept McLeod and Fogle? I don't know. In hindsight, when I actually think when that stuff actually happened, and knowing that we were getting Skinner and Arvidsson in return, I would honestly say that at that point in time, I'm like, no, this is great. This is great. But in hindsight, when I see what Fogle is doing, McLeod's not really doing so much. There was rumors that we might almost pick him up at the deadline again because he hasn't been really too spectacular in Buffalo. He's been okay, don't get me wrong, but not spectacular. Fogle has been absolutely spectacular. Holloway is another one that hurts because he's been absolutely spectacular. So for me, at the time, I thought we were doing the right thing. I was actually, if you look back at my episode that I did in that summer, I was absolutely pumped that we got Arvidsson and that we got Skinner, but it hasn't translated very well so far. We'll see what happens in the next month, and then going into the playoffs and going forward. And the last comment here that Renegade Man has for now: I felt bad for Skinner, but his time might be running out if they don't go far in the playoffs. What can they give up for a top goalie? Not enough picks, not enough prospects. This is true. It's getting to a point that, hey, you might have to make a decision on a player like Hyman, Darnell. I can't see them parting ways with McDavid, definitely McDavid and Draisaitl, I think, are not part of the conversation. But I think they're going to have to address the goaltending need 100%. I just don't know what they're going to do. Yeah, they've overexhausted all their picks, getting players like Ekholm. Like our D-core isn't that bad. It's just there's a couple players on that D-core that really, really are liable for, and I'm going to basically say Bouchard, for defensive play. Bouchard needs to play better defensively. I don't give a shit what anyone says out there. That's a man that has been very poor in his defensive zone and then very slacking. And it makes Ekholm look bad too. So I think that needs to be addressed big time. And hey, you know what? I'd be okay. Get rid of Bouchard for a good goalie. I'd be okay with that. 100%. Okay, let's go into the last game that happened, was the Edmonton Oilers versus the New York Islanders. The only win that the Edmonton Oilers would muster up this week. Now we're starting a new week, and they start in about half an hour, the Oilers and Rangers, which should be, let's hope, a good game. They got a tough week. They got Winnipeg coming in on Wednesday too, so we'll see. So with this game, Leon Draisaitl would get his 48th at 8:46, assisted by Bouchard and Brown. And Bouchard's great offensively. Don't get me wrong. Offensively, very good. But defensively, as I used to be a welder, we call it porosity. When you get little bubbles, little arrow things in your welds. Lots of holes in his game. Horvat, so that would be at the second period. No scoring in the first period. Horvat would tie it in the third period. And then it'd be Leo getting his 49th in overtime to secure the win. And Picard and McDavid would get the assist. Actually, Picard got an assist here. So they were able to muster up the one win. As far as the statistics go, let me get that graphic up. Shots on goal, Edmonton 35-25. Hits 21-10 for the Islanders. Face-off win percentage. This I had to really look at. I was like, are you kidding me? 65.2% on the dot for the Islanders to a team that is known for winning their face-offs. I couldn't believe that the Oilers were only 35% on the dot. Like, I really couldn't believe that one there. Gets that shitty salute, because that was bad. When I read that stat, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, is that a typo? Like, what the hell? Anyway, 0 for 2 on the power play. Again, the penalty kill has been great this week. I'm not going to complain about that. 22-10 for block shots for the Islanders. The Oilers were all over them in this. And the Oilers actually all week have had their looks, but they're just not finishing. Giveaways 19-17. And Picard was a .960 save percentage, stopping 24 of the 25 that came his way. So I very pleased with his efforts in that particular game. And then we will take a look at some of the bad and some of the good. As far as numbers go, the Oilers were out hit 21-10. It should have been a little bit more closer of a number. Oilers power play this week has been 1 for 7 attempts. So that's not good at all. And the Oilers only winning 16 of, I mean, it says OD, but it's actually 16 of 46 draws in this particular game. Not good again. That's why I gave you the boo on that particular one. As far as the good goes, the Oilers outshot the Islanders 17-6 in the first, which they were peppering them they were peppering them really good. Again, it really boils down to just the puck not finishing for them. Leon Draisaitl and Evan Bouchard were a +2. Calvin Picard, a .960 save percentage. The stars of this particular game, Leon Draisaitl with 2 goals, Bo Horvat with 1 goal, and Connor Brown with 1 assist. And there you have it. There's a recap of the games, which will now take us to the Western Conference standings, as there has been some movement with the Edmonton Oilers when it comes to this, as they bump down a little bit. So, as far as Winnipeg, Dallas, Colorado, Vegas go, they all stand even. Now, the LA Kings have bumped across, knocking out Edmonton is now in third, and LA is in second, which means if the playoffs were to start today, LA would have the home ice advantage. Minnesota and Vancouver has now snuck in and bumped Calgary out. The rest of it is exactly pretty much the same position from last week when it comes to St. Louis, Utah, Anaheim, Seattle, Nashville, Chicago, and the San Jose Sharks. There has been no change as far as positioning goes regarding those specific teams. So that takes us now. I'm trying to get this wrapped up here so I can get to the game here. I'm doing pretty good for time. That takes us to the poll, which I posted earlier this morning. It's on my Twitter or X account. Now, I know a lot of people are getting rid of their X accounts because of everything politically going on in the world. But if you still have an X account, you can place your vote on this. Where will the Oilers finish in the Pacific Division? First, second, third, or fourth? Scan that QR code. It'll take you directly to my X account, and you can place your vote. Because right now, I think everything's up in the air as far as the Pacific Division. I do think the Oilers will make the playoffs, but they could very well wind up fourth and be one of the wild cards. That it's a bit of a stretch, but they still have some tough games coming up here. So let's hope that they can actually do better than that. Hopefully they get first. That's still within range, but they have to start putting some wins together like now. Okay, let's move on to the upcoming games. Now, there's going to be 4 games. I'm going to do this actually just a little bit different, as I'm not going to go spewing out all the numbers that it's listed. I basically did a collaboration of some of the numbers that I thought that I took note of, and I will post the graph, and you can look at what is what, and get your own decisions on it. But I'm just going to give you the laydown of what I think is up, because I'm going to have to go through 4 games here, as they are playing the Rangers very shortly here. Okay, so they take on the Rangers like literally in 25 minutes. On Tuesday, they'll be back from their road trip, so they'll take on Utah. Thursday, the Jets. That's going to be a tough one. And then next Saturday, they will take on the Seattle Kraken. We're going to start off with the New York Rangers, which is happening, like I say, in 25 minutes from now. And I'm going to get bumped up and make some food and have some beers and relax. The numbers that really stood out for me is the Rangers are second in the league with a 53.6 on the dot and fourth in the league on the penalty kill. However, they are 28th in the league for shots on goal, averaging only 20.1 shots per game. And that's probably what's really starting to hurt them. The last time they played, just going to find that out here. Pull that up. The last time the Oilers played, the Oilers hammered them 6-2 November 23rd in New York. In Edmonton. And right now, the Rangers are on a bit of a winning streak. They won 2 in a row. Current record is 33-28-6. They are currently, where is it? They are currently 4th in the Metro. So they're trying to fight their way in there, but they're just not having that year. Like, I just don't see them making the playoffs. So we'll see. Then the Edmonton Oilers will take on the Utah Hockey Club in Edmonton, and this will be on, I believe, Tuesday. Let me just get that stat up. Utah, not very good this year as they, back in the Arizona and Phoenix Coyotes. This is a team that just, I don't know if they'll ever find their way, but we'll see. But you go back to the whole Phoenix Coyotes, Arizona Coyotes. I don't know even if, they made the playoffs, I think, once or twice, but not too often. Utah's best stat is their face-off win percentage, as it is at 51.4, placing them 10th in the league. That's their best stat that they have in the league. However, they are 22nd in goals. They are tied for 25th in shooting percentage. They are very undisciplined, as they average 9.5 penalty minutes per game, ranking them 27th in the league. So this is a team, again, they're carrying over that thing, and I imagine they will eventually become a better team. I'm curious when they're actually going to name their team and give them a nickname. Hopefully that comes soon, but I'm surprised it hasn't come yet. This is a team under Ryan Smith's direction. I do believe they will improve and that they will be playoff bound within 3 years, I'll say. But I think it's going to take a bit to get there. There's still a lot of work for this club, as they need to outfit the arena to an NHL viewing, because there's a lot of real bad seating in that arena. But because it is designed for basketball, and that's supposed to be future plans as well. But we'll see. Okay, now I hate to say it, guys. This could be very well the Western Conference finalist, which means Edmonton will not be the Western Conference finalist. Winnipeg is an absolute juggernaut, as the Oilers will take them on Thursday night. They are, in my opinion, clearly the best team in the league. All of their stats are in the top 16 of the league, with exception to face-off win percentage. When you have a goalie who already locked up the Vezina Trophy midway through the season, which I'm pretty sure if he doesn't win the Vezina, then there's something wrong. I'm pretty sure Hellebuck has the Vezina Trophy in his back pocket, 100%. With 6 shutouts and a .927 save percentage. That's what he averaged, .927. The Jets are likely Cup Finals bound. I hate to say it, guys, but that means if they're Cup Finals bound and they represent the West, who else is in the West? Yep, The Oilers. I don't know if they're going to do it this year. We'll see. I still have faith. I still have hope. But I need to see a lot more out of the Edmonton Oilers than what I have seen so far this year to give me that confidence. And then last but not least, they will take on the Kraken next Saturday night. Again, this is one of those ones that they should win, but they tend to usually choke when it comes to these teams. For whatever reason, maybe McDavid just wants the best on best all the time. That's why the game against Winnipeg could be a very good game. I think McDavid's going to be playing a hell of a game, getting back to that. But we're moving on to this one. There is a massive drop-off with this team since the dismissal of Dave Haxtell and the hiring of Dan Bylsma and Jessica Campbell, as they are 25th for shots on goal, 24th for face-off win percentage, 24th for goals allowed, and 20th on the kill. It's no wonder why they are currently 7th in the Pacific. Yes, this is a team that literally a few years ago I believe they made the playoffs. Can't quite remember. They were definitely within contention. They were definitely a contender, and they really dropped off the map and are really struggling now. And yeah, I don't know what to say about the Seattle Kraken, but I do know that they need to make an overhaul with that team as well. And I do believe that's it. Yes, that is. And we will go back to the main screen. See if there's any more comments. No more comments, so we won't discuss that. And let's go into final thoughts. Hey, look at that. I'm managing to squeeze this in under an hour so we can get to the actual game going on. And I'll just there we go. Move into that. So for my final thoughts, got to ask you guys, and you can type in later, do you still consider the Edmonton Oilers a contender? Are they still a legit contender? Because this season, and there's ups and downs, there's peaks and valleys. Every season has them. Every season the Oilers have had them. I don't think they're a contender anymore. I'm going to be honest with you. I look at some of the teams now. You got Colorado, you got Dallas loading up their team. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where the Oilers sit in the mix now. Yes, we got Connor. Yes, we got Leo. But, man, we got a lot of problems. So let's hope that the Oilers can finish off this season very well and start getting a bit of a winning streak going. It's going to be interesting to watch this Rangers game, which starts in 18 minutes, and I'm happy I was able to rifle through this episode. I was a little concerned that it would carry over. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. So chime in on my thing, and I will get back to you on that. But I don't know if they still are. I really don't know if they are still a contender. There's just too many good teams right now. Anyway, guys, enjoy the game. I am going to log out. Oh, we got one more comment here. And it is Renegade Man. It depends on the D and Skinner. Yeah, it does. And those are huge aspects of the game. You look at Dallas, you look at Colorado, you look at Winnipeg. Just like I said when I did the Winnipeg review, don't see the Oilers passing Winnipeg. Then again, last year, Winnipeg was surprisingly upset in the first round by the Colorado Avalanche. So anything can happen, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, enjoy the game as the Oilers will take on the New York Rangers. Should be good. I'm hoping that the Oilers pull off a win, and I'm trying to close that down. There we go. Hoping the Oilers close out this road trip with a win as they go back home. They're going to start a 5-game homestand on Tuesday against Utah. And let's hope for good things. Let's hope for better things. Let's hope that Skinner is going to play well, that Bouchard is going to be a little bit more responsible, and that we see Mick Magic do some of his normal magicianship, or whatever you would call it. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. You guys have an amazing week. We will see you next Sunday.